Forget New Year, New You. This season is about slowing down, locking the doors, and cozying up at home with the one you really want to do nothing with. Your dog. After the holiday chaos, those quiet nights with a blanket, a podcast, and your pup feel like the reset you actually need. Ollie helps make those moments easier with fresh protein-packed meals made from real human-grade ingredients, so your dog can enjoy some quality comfort food too. Choose from 5 recipes and get a personalized plan for your dog's needs. Meals arrive perfectly proportioned with a scoop and storage container, so serving is fast and mess-free. And with Ollie's in-app on-demand health screenings, supporting your dog is easy, ensuring more cuddles for many years to come. Visit ollie.com/truecrime and use code TRUECRIME for 60% off your first box.
Jeff Gearman wrote about violent mobsters and the hidden dark side of Las Vegas in the Las Vegas Review-Journal. He also wrote about government employees and politicians, too. He was an investigative reporter with a knack for uncovering the truth and making shockwaves.
Most people who dealt with Jeff the journalist knew him to be no nonsense, a straight shooter, who always searched for the truth. He had a nose for sniffing out the corrupt, the nefarious. We knew him to be those things too, but we were very proud of his many years of service to the community and his numerous accolades as a newspaper reporter.
In a tragic turn, Jeff's own story would be covered in the headlines. On September 2nd, 2022, his longtime neighbor grew concerned because Jeff's garage door remained open and Jeff didn't respond to text messages or calls. Ro Bailey finally went to the house across the street around 9:15 a.m. on September 3rd to see what was going on. He went to the side of Jeff's house. The bushes were bloody.
I saw Jeff.
You saw Jeff. Was he on the ground?
Yes, he was.
Okay. So you saw him, and based on that, what did you do?
I called 911.
69-year-old Jeff Gearman had been fatally stabbed in the neck and in his torso.
Doctor, how many stab wounds were on the body?
Sorry, I have to do some math in my head. I believe there are 6 stab wounds.
And how many slicing wounds, slashing wounds?
7 incised wounds.
Okay, so we have 6 and 7, 13.
Yes.
Jeff was considered by many to be a watchdog for his community, covering violent criminals and bad actors. Certainly, he had made enemies since he first began reporting in Las Vegas in the late 1970s. Investigators listened to angry voicemails left on Jeff's phone from 2 different people upset with what Jeff had written. But who would have gone as far as to kill him? This is Jillian in partnership with Law and Crime. You are listening to Court Junkie, episode 282. I'm always looking for ways to get myself and my family to drink more water. I know that drinking water is important to staying hydrated and healthy, and that 60% of our bodies are made of water. But if you're like me, you'd probably rather not drink tap water. Unfortunately, according to extensive research by the Environmental Working Group, virtually every home in America has harmful contaminants in its tap water. That's why you've got to check out AquaTrue. AquaTrue purifiers use a 4-stage reverse osmosis purification process, and their countertop purifiers work with no installation or plumbing. That's the type that I have at my house. It removes 15 times more contaminants than ordinary pitcher filters. And if you don't want the countertop version, they have water purifiers that fit every type of home, including those higher capacity ones that go underneath your sink. They even have a Wi-Fi connected purifier and alkaline mineral options. The technology AquaTrue uses is the same technology used by all the major bottled water brands, but now it's available in your home without the plastic waste. And the filters are affordable and long-lasting. Instead of having to change them every 2 to 3 months, AquaTrue filters last from 6 months to 2 years. And I saved what I consider the best part for last. The water tastes different. It is fantastic, and I can really notice a difference. I've been drinking more water, and so have my husband and our 2 kids. It's super easy to set up and maintain. And with AquaTrue, I know that it's not just filtered, but purified. AquaTrue comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee and even makes a great gift. Today, Court Junkies receive 20% off any AquaTrue purifier. Just go to aquatrue.com. That's AQUATRU.com and enter the code COURT at checkout. That's 20% off any AquaTrue water purifier when you go to aquatrue.com and use the code COURT.
So most of you know my brother Jeffrey to be a hard-nosed investigative reporter who went after corruption in our city. He wrote about wrongdoings by mobsters, gaming officials, politicians, corporations, basically anyone who was corrupt, and I don't think they could hide from him. Let me give you a little insight to the man behind the byline of Jeffrey M. Gehrman.
Jeff Gehrman wasn't a Las Vegas native. He grew up in the Midwest in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. As a kid, he was said to be a natural athlete who seemed to excel at any sport he tried: basketball, football, golf, tennis. Jeff had 3 younger siblings. He taught his brother Jay how to play golf and took him to Milwaukee Brewers games. He was almost like a second father to his sister Jill, who you just heard speaking. When Jill got engaged, the first person she said she shared the news with was Jeff. They were at TGI Fridays, and Jeff bought champagne for the entire bar. He graduated with a master's degree in journalism at Marquette University and then launched his career by taking a road trip. In 1978, Jeff, in his mid-20s, drove across the country to move to Las Vegas. He started at the Las Vegas Sun before switching to its competitor, the Las Vegas Review-Journal. He seemingly had a career full of fascinating stories to tell.
Do you remember him ever talking about particular stories or events that were important to him as a reporter?
Well, I'd have to think about that. But I mean, Jeff took seriously every story that he worked on. He really did. I mean, he investigated. He really enjoyed being an investigative reporter. And I mean, there are a lot of stories he worked on. I know the Binion murder trial was a big one in his life, but there are so many.
According to testimony from his loved ones, Jeff had no interest in retiring or of ever leaving the Las Vegas Review-Journal either.
I remember asking Jeff why he chose to stay here and not be at other major newspapers who frequently recruited him. He said, "Jill, this is Las Vegas. This is Sin City. This is where I need to be." Jeff is fearless of all the corrupt people he called out in his reporting of the mobsters, politicians, casino executives, and so on. Professionally, Jeff had many headline stories that made the national news. Some of you may or may not remember this, but they were breaking news, such as the Judge Harry Claiborne impeachment trial. I was here when that happened. To reporting Chicago mobster Tony the Ants Spilotro and his brothers' murders, to being the first to report Liberace's death and his AIDS diagnosis. Those are just a few of the many breaking stories for Jeff, and they all came out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Jeff is a trusted, top-notch journalist and author with a top-rated Lifetime Network television movie made from his book, The Death of a Las Vegas Casino Boss, Murder in Sin City, and that was the Ted Binion murder story. His award-winning podcast, Mobbed Up, The Fight for Las Vegas, is still heard by many. He belonged to a class of journalists that are in a league of their own. Not many reporters out there will ever match his caliber and investigative journalism and storytelling. These past 2 years, it felt like I've been living in a chapter of a murder novel as it unfolds. One that my brother Jeff could have written, entitled Murder in Sin City, Part 2, The Death of a Journalist.
Jeff's siblings later testified that they missed their big brother at family barbecues, Sunday brunches, and Thanksgiving meals. There were many layers to Jeff. He hadn't been married or had kids of his own, but he was a devoted uncle, and his siblings moved to Las Vegas to be around him. When they visited, they went to his immaculately clean house where sports was often on the television. Even though he was a hard-nosed investigative reporter, his loved ones recalled Jeff's silly personality. He loved Seinfeld and 2.5 Men, memorizing his favorite punchlines to tell again and again. He remained a devoted sports fan too, until the very end. He memorized stats and recited scores, which surely his friends appreciated if they wanted to make a wager in Vegas. About 4 months before his death, Jeff Gehrman was focused on a scandal in a small, obscure Clark County office. County office in turmoil with secret video and claims of bullying, hostility, one headline read under Jeff's byline. In the story, Jeff interviewed a half-dozen current and former employees of the Clark County Public Administrator's Office, who said the elected official in charge was behaving inappropriately. Robert Tejas, who was married, was accused of having a relationship with his employee, Roberta Lee Kennett, who was also married. Both Robert and Roberta denied they were sleeping together in the story. Office employees accused Robert of showing favoritism to Roberta, and they secretly filmed them together in the backseat of a car. Several employees said the public administrator's office, which oversaw the process when a property owner dies without a will, had become a toxic environment to work in and filed complaints accusing Robert of being a bully. Robert was depicted as angry and spiteful. Employees, some anonymous, some identified on the record, said they were walking on eggshells with their boss and were feeling physically sick because of the tension at work. On the record, Robert denied everything. They're unhappy with the way the office has been taken out of their control, Robert said, according to the story. All my new employees are super happy, and everyone's productive and doing well. We've almost doubled the productivity in the office. Robert called Roberta a colleague he could lean on. I think it's horrible that they recorded this and that they're trying to destroy my life and my marriage when I'm actually infinitely in love with my wife, Robert was quoted as saying in Jeff's story. I was just trying to get things off my chest with somebody who understands, and now it's being framed as though I'm cheating on my wife. Roberta claimed they had been in the parking garage to discuss business, away from the office because of all the disharmony among the rest of the staff. Jeff's story said Roberta suggested going into the backseat of the car because she wanted to make sure Tejas would listen to her concerns face to face.
By June of 2022, Jeff Gehrman had caused a lot of problems for the public administrator, Robert Tejas. He had written articles accusing Mr. Tejas of an inappropriate relationship. He had written that he was bullying in the office and had created a hostile environment in the public administrator's office. He had written an article saying that the management of Mr. Tejas was so bad that the county had to bring in a private consultant in order to assist with the management of an 8-person office. After Mr. Gehrman wrote those articles, Mr. Tejas lost his primary race and would not be the public administrator after that. And not just that he lost the race, he lost the race to a rival within the public administrator's office itself. And from the text messages of Mr. Tejas, we learned that this was deeply, deeply troubling for him.
After Robert's top assistant, Rita Reed, beat him in the election, Robert unleashed on social media. He accused Jeff of being obsessed with him. He even considered suing Rita and believed she had been conspiring against him too. Meanwhile, Jeff was still digging. He was waiting on a public records request to uncover more wrongdoing or inappropriate behavior between Robert and Roberta. Now, remember this timeline. Robert lost in the Democratic primary in June 2022. Jeff made his records request for Robert's messages with Roberta in July. On August 8th, Robert found out he was still under the microscope and that more stories could be in the works if Jeff uncovered any smoking guns in those emails. And then, on September 3rd, Jeff was found dead outside his house, having been stabbed multiple times. Homicide detective Justine Gaddis was the lead detective assigned to the case. She knew right away that the murder victim was a journalist at the Las Vegas Review-Journal. One of the neighbors alerted her. Also right away, Detective Gaddis could see the murder wasn't a robbery. Jeff still had his keys, his phone, and his wallet with cash in it. Nothing had been taken inside Jeff's home either. There was no signs of forced entry. Video surveillance footage from the neighbor across the street actually captured the killer. The unknown person wore gray Nikes, a long-sleeve shirt with a bright orange construction vest, and an oversized straw sun hat that hid the person's identity. The suspect also carried a shoulder bag. The video showed the killer walking into Jeff's side yard and hiding behind the gate. When Jeff opened his garage door and walked outside, he was ambushed. The 2-minute attack was partially caught on the neighbor's surveillance video. Jeff tried to fight back, but the assailant with the knife overpowered him. The suspected killer drove a maroon Yukon Denali that was also captured on surveillance video.
After killing Jeff Gehrman, the assailant walks down from the side yard and goes back down Jeff Gehrman's street and just walks away. He's picked up on additional surveillance video a little bit further down the street. And eventually, there's surveillance of this individual seen getting into a maroon Yukon Denali SUV. And so police try to collect all available video that is present in the neighborhood. Meanwhile, Jeff Gehrman's body was transported for an autopsy at the Clark County Medical Examiner's office. When his body was at the office, the cause of death was determined to be multiple sharp force injuries. A crime scene analyst attended the autopsy and collected fingernail clippings and scrapings from Jeff Gehrman's hands to see if there was foreign DNA present. Those samples were taken to Metro's DNA lab, and foreign DNA was detected in the right fingernail clippings of Jeff Gehrman. There was foreign DNA collected, but no one knew who it belonged to.
It didn't take long for the Las Vegas police to get their potential suspect's name, Robert Tejas. Tips poured in, emails and phone calls that warned Robert may be responsible for the murder. And some of the evidence seemed like it was right there, in plain sight. Detective Gaddis began reading Jeff's coverage about Robert.
Does that appear to be one of the articles that was written about Mr. Tellis by Mr. Gehrman?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was on May the 26th of 2022?
Correct.
Can you just read us the headline?
In a rare move, consultant hired to resolve turmoil in county office.
And I'm now going to put on the overhead states 353A. Appear to be another article.
Yes, ma'am.
And what's the date on that one?
It's May 16th, 2022.
And what's the headline on that one?
County office in turmoil with secret video and claims of bullying and hostility.
And now I'm going to put on the overhead states 353B.
That one's dated June 18th, 2022, and it's titled Embattled County Official Losing Re-Election Bid Posts Angry Letter.
And this is states 353C.
And the same, another article written by Jeff Gehrman, dated June 22nd, 2022. Embattled County Official Concedes Race Remains Combative.
Detective Gaddis could also see Robert's angry Facebook posts as the stories came out. He accused Jeff of being out to get him.
Do these appear to be posts by Mr. Tellis?
Yes, ma'am, they were.
And it looks like this one at the top here is dated 6/18/22.
Correct.
Can you read it?
Wife hears rustling in the trash. Her Honey, is there a wild animal in the trash? Me, no dear, looks like it's at J. Gurman, RJ, going through our trash for his 4th story on me. Oh, Jeff, and a laughy emoji.
Okay. And the rest of the text, it sort of compares or suggests that I left a pizza box and a sushi container in the trash. The next thing I'm going to have like sort of criminal organization ties.
Correct.
And then not the last one, but the second to last one on that page, I think on 62522, can you read that one?
Typical bully, can't take a pound of criticism after slinging 100 pounds of BS. Up to article number 4 now. You'd think he'd have better things to do.
And then this last one on the page, which is also on 618.
That one says, looking forward to lying smear piece number 4 by @J. Gurman, RJ. Hashtag one trick pony. I think he's mad that I haven't crawled into a hole and died.
Now putting on the overhead what's been admitted as states 353E. Looks like some more social media posts.
Yes, ma'am.
And that one is from June the 17th of 2022. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what does that one say?
It says, does the @LVRJ know that @J. Gurman, RJ may be doing double duty on their dime? Do they know that he basically made a veiled threat to take me down or take down my site, with the truth after I had already lost the election?
And then there's like a screenshot, I guess, of
Text messages. Yes.
Messages between himself and Gurman.
That is correct.
And at least can you see all of that one, where Gurman responds?
Yes.
What does that say?
In the long response there,
Yeah.
It says, Rob, I'm putting together another story on your office. This has to do with the letter you posted on your campaign website addressing the hostile work allegations. Employees view that as a threat of retaliation and have reported it to Human Resources. I would like to get your comments on that as well as your take on the election results so far. I would need something from you this afternoon.
Detective Gaddis also learned more about the suspect's vehicle.
Do you learn that Mr. Tellis's wife has a Yukon Maroon in the same type and model as is seen in the video around Bronze Circle?
Yes, that is correct.
Now, at some point, is there an effort made to gather a lot of video?
Yeah, yes, there was.
And can you kind of describe what that process was that that detectives and yourself went to get that level of video?
So with this, actually, we ended up kind of employing other patrol detectives to help us because it was that extensive. Typically, we go to the last place that we know that either the image of the vehicle or the image of the person was seen, and we almost kind of like just leapfrog down the street. We'll make a game plan ahead of time, even just knowing major cross streets, if there's businesses there, businesses that we've pulled video from before. So sometimes we have like previous contacts to where we can just make phone calls. But a lot of the time it's literally walking the street, driving the street, and just leapfrogging after each other to follow whatever we're looking for, whether it's a person or a vehicle.
And in this case, quite a bit of video was gathered.
Yes, ma'am.
And did Detective Mogg sort of take control of the video essentially and start compiling it in a chronological manner?
Yes.
Now, on September the 5th, did you learn something in terms of forensic evidence that you had in this case?
We did. We learned.
And what was that?
That there was a foreign DNA detected under Jeff Gurman's fingernails.
At that time, did you know who that foreign DNA belonged to?
No, they ran it in the systems, our local and I think state CODIS system, and it returned with negative results.
And those are databases with known DNA profiles in them?
Correct. And
so you had requested that foreign DNA be run in those databases, but there was no response or no match?
Correct.
So once you have that foreign DNA, do you draft a search warrant in order to get a DNA sample from Mr. Tellis?
I did.
And that was based on sort of the video evidence that kind of tracked a Yukon going to Mr. Gurman's residence and then back in the area of Mr. Tellis's neighborhood.
Yes.
And as well as other facts that you had developed in the case in terms of their tense relationship and the fact that he had that kind of Yukon?
Correct.
On September 7th at around 2 a.m., Detective Gaddis got a search warrant approved. She could now get a DNA sample from Robert Tejas, search his phone, and look in his house. 5 hours after the search warrant had been signed, Robert was pulled over while driving. His cheek was swabbed, the DNA collected. And then, in a dramatic fashion, the crime scene analyst drove directly to the lab to give it to the forensic scientists to get the results. Detective Gaddis had never gotten the results back so fast, but a murder investigation of a politician suspected of killing an investigative journalist was a high-priority case. Then the search at Robert's large Spanish-style home began.
What sort of items were noteworthy that you recall that they found?
They called and told me that they found a pair of cut-up tennis shoes that looked like what the suspect was wearing on the video that we'd collected. They said that they had also located a satchel shoulder bag that looked the same as what was seen on the suspect. And there was a hat. It was a straw hat. Then they said that also had been cut up in numerous pieces as well.
As police closed in on him, Robert attempted to hurt himself. He was taken out of his house on a stretcher. He survived his injuries. Soon, he was charged with murder. Prosecutor Pam Weckerly told the jury in opening statements,
In the end, this case isn't about politics. It's not about alleged inappropriate relationships. It's not about who's a good boss or who's a good supervisor or favoritism at work. It's just about murder. And at the end of the presentation of the evidence, we'll ask you to hold him responsible for his conduct.
The holiday season is here. That means potentially spending time with loved ones, maybe eating really great homemade food. And one of my favorite things, shopping for presents. Last year, I gifted some of my girlfriends and family members some of my favorite things from SKIMS. And now that their holiday shop has launched, I'm about to go through and do it again. Another thing I love to do over the holidays is dress up myself, my husband, and our kids in matching Christmas pajamas and then do a little photo shoot. This year, we're all wearing SKIMS because I recently saw that they have the most adorable sleep sets for kids, and I never saw that before. Not to mention, when it's cold outside, I typically work from home, and guess what I just love wearing? My soft lounge sleep sets from SKIMS. I have a really cute red set as well as a gray one. Shop SKIMS Holiday Shop at skims.com. Available in styles for women, men, kids, and even pets. If you haven't yet, be sure to let them know I sent you. After you place your order, select Podcast in the survey, and then select Court Junkie in the drop-down menu that follows. That's SKIMS, SKIMS.com. I've been a fan of the Washington Post for as long as I can remember. I was one of those kids who was super interested in what was going on in the world at a pretty young age, and it has never let up. Chances are, if you're a court junkie, you're probably the same way. Well, today's episode is sponsored by the Washington Post. So when you go to washingtonpost.com/court, court junkies can now get an exclusive deal to subscribe to the Washington Post for just 50 cents per week for your first year. I love reading the Washington Post for their coverage on everything from politics to world news to food, tech, and more. I've even signed up for their For You newsletter, which sends me my very own personalized roundup of stories every evening based on my interests and reading history. And their app is great. It makes it easy to stay up to date and navigate all the news stories coming in. Their journalists are top-notch. The Post even offers a cool feature for you audio lovers. You can actually listen to articles in addition to reading them. So if you're interested in signing up for the Washington Post, go to washingtonpost.com/court to subscribe for just 50 cents per week for your first year. That's 80% off their typical offer, so this is truly a steal. Once again, that's washingtonpost.com/court to subscribe for just 50 cents per week for your first year. With court approval, Detective Gaddis searched Robert's phones and saw angry text messages Robert had sent to Jeff. One, which was of interest, was from 3 months before the murder.
It says that I don't know what to say. I told you about how much this has all impacted me. You heard from employees who are being harassed by these people. Provided you proved that I was doing my best to actually smooth things over after I had to make hard decisions, still you wrote an article that makes it sound like I'm the guilty one. That was not fair or balanced.
And then there's another message here in the middle.
He says, I'm very distraught right now. Clearly, there are typos in my message.
And then there's one towards the bottom.
Yeah, and it's still the same day, May 15th, 2022. It says, I've done so much for that office. I told you that I've been followed and that I caught Rita following me. You decided to take it on her word that she wasn't. However, clearly she was. It seems to me that you valued sensationalism or the value of a potential takedown than actually telling the truth. Thank you for helping him to drop more pressure on my life.
Investigators were also aware that someone who had access to Robert's work computer was doing research on Jeff's whereabouts and his personal life. According to court testimony, there were dozens of photos of Jeff's home, the neighborhood where he lived, and images of his personal information from a data site.
Well, we know back in August, when he got notification that another story was likely coming, he kind of goes into research mode on Mr. Gehrman, where he's located, what kind of car he might be driving, searches on his computer. All of that demonstrates deliberation.
Robert also reportedly Googled how to push news articles down to hide the damning search results about him. The other woman in Robert Tejas' life, Roberta Lee Kennett, had started working for the public administrator's office under the previous county administrator. She was an estate coordinator who administered the properties of the dead who didn't have a will. Part of Roberta's responsibilities were coordinating with realtors and crews to fix up the properties to sell. According to Roberta's testimony, right away when Robert took over the office, he made changes that angered the employees, including eliminating their overtime to save taxpayer money. Robert and Roberta were friends. Not in the beginning, but over time, she testified. In May 2022, Jeff was writing a story about the public administrator's office, and that was dragging Roberta into the media fodder for their relationship.
What was Rob's reaction to that news story?
I don't think any of us were happy about that news story.
You were not happy?
Yes.
I guess I should say it this way. Were you happy about the news story?
I was upset, embarrassed, and relieved all at the same time, I think.
Okay. Upset, embarrassed, and relieved. What was Mr. Tellis's reaction?
I would assume upset.
Did he ever talk to you about that story?
Yes, we talked about that story.
What did he say about it?
He was not happy about it.
Okay. What were his feelings about Mr. Gehrman?
He did not like Mr. Gehrman.
Did you ever describe it as stronger than dislike?
Like hate?
Hated him?
I would assume he hated him.
Did he ever tell you he hated him?
Yes.
He had said that? I assume that was after the story was written?
Yes.
Were there other stories besides that first one that followed?
Yeah, there were a lot of stories that followed.
And in those succeeding stories, I assume, did Mr. Tellis's feelings about Mr. Gehrman change, or did it sort of stay in that negative hate space?
I honestly don't know if his feelings changed about it. I just think they were terrible stories, intentional stories. So it ruined his career, right? It ruined his chances.
I'm sorry?
It ruined his chances to run. So I would assume he'd be upset.
And by that, you're saying at the time, Mr. Tellis was running in a primary for public administrator?
Right.
And those stories were published, is that fair?
Yes.
And then Mr. Tellis lost the primary?
Yes.
Meaning he wouldn't be public administrator the following year?
Correct.
Robert went on the attack on Twitter, even though Roberta warned him not to engage with Jeff. But angry words didn't seem to work on Jeff. Instead of relenting, Jeff made a request to see the correspondence between Robert and Roberta. By early September 2022, Roberta's career at the public administrator's office was over too. She abruptly found out that she was being transferred to a new job at Clark County Social Services. It was then the emails between Roberta and Robert were going to be publicly released. Roberta got to review them.
My concerns were about some of our vendors named in there, and that was it. I actually said, I really don't care what was in here. There doesn't appear to be anything beyond the name of one of our vendors that I had concerns with.
Okay.
Yep.
Did he raise any concerns to you about what was in the group?
He did not.
Okay. So you sent him, is it fair to say, like a Word document
Correct.
by email to say, these are the things I'm worried about?
Correct.
Under cross, she elaborated more about the emails, which she didn't find controversial or embarrassing. She and Robert hadn't even discussed them before they were ready to be released because they seemed so mundane to her.
You had testified that Mr. Tellis, and I think your specific words were, didn't express concerns about these communications between yourself and him.
Talking about my not having concerns? That's
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And you said, I believe, that his concerns just dealt with vendors' names.
No, those were my concerns. I had no idea what concerns were of Rob's with those.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you had no idea because he didn't express to you, oh, no, this information can't get out, or
That's
this is
correct.
terrible.
Correct.
He didn't seem to be so concerned.
No, I don't think we had a conversation about that.
And if it would have been a concern in reference to the emails and things or digital communications
Right.
between yourself and Mr. Tellis, you would have expected him to tell you, hey, I'm afraid these communications are going to be in the journalist's hands.
Correct. Correct.
Roberta left work on that Friday. She went home. Saturday morning, she turned on the TV and saw that Jeff Gehrman had been murdered.
It was my intent to go back into the office that whole weekend to complete my case statuses. So I wake up, I look at local news every morning while I'm getting ready. I saw on Twitter, or X, whatever, an article about Gehrman being murdered.
Okay.
And so that freaked me out. Yes.
And once you learn of that on the news, do you have communications between yourself and Mr. Tellis about the fact that Mr. Gehrman had been murdered?
Yes, I had reached out and said something to the fact like, oh my gosh, Mr. Gehrman's been murdered. Sent him a copy of the screenshot of that and said I was not going to go into work anymore.
And was that just because you were a little bit concerned about your safety?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The prosecutor showed her text messages she exchanged with Robert after Jeff's murder.
And it is from 9/6 of 22. And you send a message, Rob, WTF,
Yep.
please do not be driving your Yukon around for a while.
Correct.
What had you seen that made you send that message to him?
I think what everyone else saw, that Yukon in the photos.
You mean
or in media?
Yeah, the media messages that
Right.
Metro sent out
Right.
of a car associated with Mr. Gehrman's murder.
Correct.
And had you known Mr. Tellis to have a similar Yukon?
He had driven it to work a few times. I believe it's his wife's vehicle.
Okay.
Yes.
And so you're kind of like, whoa, don't drive your car around for a while.
Yes.
And then his response is, that's crazy.
Okay. Yes.
Is that fair?
Yep.
And it looks like, this is page 37. You say,
Yep.
please tell me your Yukon is not that color.
Correct.
You wrote that.
Correct.
And this is page 38. He says, it is similar if not the same.
Correct.
And you ask him another detail. Do you have racks on yours too, meaning the...
Right. From the photos, right?
Okay. And this is page 39. What do you say?
Please tell me you don't.
Okay, and then
I'm freaking out, Rob.
and are you starting to get nervous?
Yeah, I'm starting to suspect.
Okay. And then this is page 40. He says, yeah, I think so. It's fine. I didn't do it.
Right?
And then you ask another question about his tires.
Right. You don't have special rims, do you?
Okay. And then you, this is page 41, tell him I am, and then.
Very worried. Correct.
And you then say what?
I say, it's not you, but they could try to use the vehicle as a way to suspect you.
And then his response is, my car has all matching wheel patterns.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then this is page 43. You seem kind of bewildered. You say, I don't understand.
Correct.
And then you say,
the rims look like the photo.
and this is page 44. He answers you, I think they are saying that the front does not match the back.
Correct.
And then you say,
F, your car is identical.
okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of communicate with him back and forth, fair to say, based on what you saw
Right.
from the Metro release of the vehicle.
That's correct.
Okay. And those are contained in these text messages that we discussed?
Yes.
On the stand, Roberta wasn't asked how her professional relationship with her boss became romantic, although Robert confirmed they were having a romantic affair when he took the stand in his own defense. As Roberta testified, Robert sat at the defense table listening, often shaking his head. He would get to tell his side of the story soon. On the 6th day of his murder trial, Robert Tellez took the stand. He didn't waste time. He made a direct appeal to the jury and insisted he was innocent. He told them he was being framed for killing Jeff Gehrman. He also had a theory on who really did it. His adversaries, Compass Realty, had hired a hitman.
First of all, and excuse me, I'm obviously a little nervous. This is it's a day I've been waiting for nearly 2 years. You know, this thing's been kind of a nightmare, frankly. And again, I want to thank you for being here. And right now, I want to say unequivocally, I'm innocent. I didn't kill Mr. Gehrman. And I've got a lot to share with you all. There's been a lot of testimony, and my concern is making sure that you hear what I think about all these things, and you know what would, you know, the concerns that I have.
Robert's testimony was rather unusual. In most cases, the witness testifying takes the lead from the prosecutor or the defense attorney asking questions. The attorney will ask a question, and then the witness will answer. Back and forth, until the jury hears the full testimony. But in this case, Robert was going to testify by narrative, so his attorney stayed silent, and Robert spoke to jurors directly, almost like an actor giving a big monologue or a politician making a stump speech. So let's get into his testimony. Robert explained that he was a self-made man, someone who taught himself different trades. His career started out building computers. Then he got into IT. After the dot-com crash, he went into property management. He became a leasing agent. Eventually, he got into maintenance, fixing broken things in apartments. He then switched into HVAC, working on air conditioning units.
That led to me becoming an attorney. And so then that even built more on that analytical mind, where I think about, you know, all the things, like all the things wrong in this case. And you add on top of that, the fact that I've been sitting in a cell for close to 2 years. So I've had a lot of time to think about a lot of these issues. So again, I think I'm going to point out some strange things about this case.
He said he went to law school at night and later opened his own probate law practice. He met his wife online. It was his second marriage. They had a daughter together, and Robert also had a daughter from his previous marriage. He then explained the importance of his job as public administrator.
It's the public administrator, is the probate administrator for the county. And again, it's basically the office that safeguards property until family can step in. Because, again, when the coroner got there, the coroner couldn't find the family. So it's our job to do the safeguarding. And if for some reason the family can't or does not want to do the administration, our office takes over and does that administration.
This was a way for people to circumvent the regular court process to sell houses, Robert explained. Jumping into the scandal in his office, he acknowledged he was angry about Jeff German's coverage.
We had those text messages from me from the day that I saw the article where I was upset. And I think, anybody who's the subject of an article that says certain things about you, I mean, could reasonably feel upset about it.
Meanwhile, Robert said he was also angry about other things that were happening. Compass Realty, a local real estate firm, gave $10,000 to his political opponent. According to Robert, he had objected to efforts by the firm to take charge of probate cases in Clark County.
And I lost the primary. It was a bummer. I mean, I don't know. It was unfortunate. But I continued to fight against Compass Realty, and I think that's something that they didn't expect. Right? And I did it just because I thought it was the right thing to do. Right? I didn't. I could have just gone home and put up my feet and done no work at all anymore. But I continued that particular battle. I had nothing to gain from it because, in 7 months I was out anyway. Right? So there was nothing for me to gain other than just doing doing the job.
In his opening statements, Robert's attorney explained more about the theory of how Compass Realty was involved in Jeff German's murder. He said the previous public administrator had been playing favorites with Compass Realty.
In his review, he discovered the public administrator's office had been favoring Compass Realty in the distribution of home sale contracts. Again, it was upsetting the apple cart. He saw this relationship as truly a violation of the Nevada law and the code of ethics governing his office. He also discovered that Compass Realty was using the straw buyer again to conduct this business and to hide their activities. It was an inherent conflict of interest. And Mr. Tellis was not going to stand still for this.
Robert Tejas testified about the events that unfolded from his point of view, like when police came to his house. He wiped away tears as he testified.
So you heard that a search warrant was obtained, and I got pulled over early in the morning on September 7th, 2022. The officers came at me with their guns drawn, yelling at me, and I was basically coming from dropping off my stepson at school, getting ready to go home to pick up one of my other daughters and then take her to school. And so they just, out of nowhere, 3 police cars just run up on me from the back, and I just scared. I had no idea what was going on. I mean, they basically yell at me to just stand. I can't remember exactly what they said, but they're yelling at me. They patted me down. They handcuffed me. They threw me in the back of a patrol car. I asked them what I did. I asked them, can I call somebody? Can I do anything? I mean, I did this for over an hour and a half. Just tell me what's going on. Tell me what's, I mean, obviously at this point, I had my suspicions because of the whole, all that thing. But they wouldn't tell me what was going on. They just left me there. And the whole time my family didn't know where I was. As far as I know, my daughter was expecting for me to come home. and take her to school. I was distraught already by that point.
He showed the jury photos of the mess inside his home after the search warrant was conducted.
So I found my wife sitting on the floor in our bedroom in the middle of this mess. And so this for me was, the thing that just broke me. I'm sorry. I knew I didn't do this thing, and yet the police claim to have this evidence. They did what they did to me. And I have a $1 million life insurance policy. I didn't want my family to have to go through more torture. And so I don't know what I was thinking, but I thought, you know what, if I can avoid the pain that they're going to suffer during this whole circus, and put some money into their hands to make up for me not being there, then maybe this is the thing to do. But it was, for me, never, I'm not guilty. I didn't kill Mr. German. But as you can see, I attempted suicide. And SWAT came in and pulled me out and put me into that ambulance. Detective Jappy came into the ambulance, and, when he came to the ambulance, he came in to extract a confession from me. It was conveyed that if I would just plead guilty, that... Objection, sustained. And in response, I said that I'm innocent, but I don't want my family to go through this, this thing that's going to happen. I guess what I said exactly was, I know that I would prove I'm innocent at trial, but I don't want my family to go through the pain. And I wish that I had the audio to prove that to you, but apparently it doesn't exist.
By now, it was the 7th day of trial, and Robert was still on the stand. His attorney held up a pair of Robert's jeans for the jury.
I'd like to show the two, my jeans versus the killer's pants. I personally don't believe that they look the same.
His opinion is irrelevant.
Sustained.
Okay.
Cross-examination was done by Deputy District Attorney Christopher Hamner.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir.
And it's Mr. Tejas, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He put up on the screen a photo from the surveillance footage of the unknown figure in the oversized straw sun hat, the bright orange shirt, and gray Nikes. This was the suspect who was seen at Jeff's home before his death.
I want to start first with see if we can agree on a couple of things, okay? I was listening to your testimony. I'm going to publish States 311. I was listening to your testimony, and if I heard you correctly, many times during your direct you stated that this is the killer of Mr. Gammon, correct?
I didn't necessarily, but I'm sure it is.
I mean, if I heard you correctly, you kept saying, looking at the killer, this guy. I know you're not saying that's me, but you don't doubt that whoever that is killed Mr. Gammon. That would be fair, right?
Yes.
Okay. You had mentioned one of the things that struck you was you watched the autopsy, or you saw the autopsy photos, and you were struck by the violence of it, correct?
No, sir.
No, you did not? Were you bothered by the photographs?
I was.
Why is that?
Gruesome. I'm not used to seeing dead people.
Okay. I think you said it was ugly. Is that correct?
I may have.
All right. And you had told this jury that you felt like it looked like someone who knew what they were doing. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
You believe this was a professional hit?
And that's what I believe.
Okay. So, and you believe this killer is kind of almost like someone hired to do this job, like an assassin, essentially, right?
That is what I believe, yes, sir.
All right. Now, I want to take a look at this picture for a second. The assassin seems to be wearing a giant sun hat. It's a pretty big hat, right?
Yes, sir.
It's fairly noticeable, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
You think that might attract attention?
I would think so.
Okay, but this is a professional.
Right.
All right. And this professional is also wearing a bright orange shirt, correct?
Yes, sir.
Professional?
Yes, sir.
But wouldn't that attract attention?
I think that's part of the reason, actually. If I could elaborate.
No. You believe that professional assassins want to draw attention to themselves when they're carrying out murder. That's your testimony?
When they're framing someone, yes, sir.
So the answer to my question is yes. You believe professional assassins like to draw attention to themselves.
It depends on what the nature of their goal is, and if it's to frame someone, yes, sir.
So the answer to my question is yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Your professional assassin is wearing a big saddlebag, right?
It's a big bag.
Right. He's wearing Nikes, correct?
Correct.
Not generic shoes, Nikes, isn't that right?
Right.
Okay. Gray Nikes, is that right?
Correct.
All right. Let's cue over to the overhead, if we could, or to the computer, if we could. All right. I'm playing the PIO video from Exhibit 338. So this is your assassin walking in the middle of the day, correct?
My assassin?
All right, this is the assassin, the killer, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Seems to have a little bit of a hitch in his getup.
Yes. I don't know. I guess it's an opinion.
And you don't disagree that's from, you've seen all the footage, that's the killer's car, right?
Yes, sir.
It's a maroon Denali, am I right?
Yes, sir.
You own a maroon Denali, isn't that correct?
I do, sir. Yes, sir.
Prosecutor Hamner told him there's one thing he didn't hear Robert mention, the DNA.
I'd like to talk about that with you. You're not disputing that your DNA is underneath Mr. Gehrman's fingernails, are you?
Yes, I am.
Okay. But you've heard the testimony. It's there, correct?
I don't know if it was there or at what point it might have gotten there, sir.
Okay. I'm not asking you how it got there. Are you really denying that your DNA is underneath the fingernails?
Without knowing the truth, yes, I am.
Okay. Well, you've heard witnesses testify.
Right.
So the DNA lab's in on it too?
I don't know. I don't know at what point. I don't know what point this sample was collected.
Sir, please tell this jury, how in the world does your DNA get underneath Mr. Gehrman's fingernails?
I don't know because I did not kill Mr. Gehrman.
You have no idea how it could have gotten underneath your fingernails, correct?
Under my fingernails?
I'm sorry, under his fingernails, correct?
I don't know that it ever was, sir.
All right. Let's do it another way. You and Mr. Gehrman are not friends, are you?
No.
Okay. You don't hang out with him ever?
Sir, I did not ever hang out with Mr. Gehrman when he was alive.
My question is yes. You didn't hang out with him ever, correct?
I did not.
He's never invited you over to his house?
No, sir.
You've never hung out, had drinks at a bar, correct?
No, sir.
There would be really no opportunity for him ever to put his hands on you in any sort of social situation, correct?
Correct, sir.
And yet, these two people who are not friends, your DNA just happens to be underneath his fingernails, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. You just don't think it was legitimately placed there, correct? Or are you just ignoring the testimony of all of the witnesses that talked about how your DNA was underneath the fingernails?
Again, at some point or another, I believe it was planted because I did not kill Mr. Gehrman. So,
and by that logic, if you believe it was planted, you are at least admitting, yes, my DNA is underneath his fingernails, correct? Can you at least agree with me on that?
Whether it came from a sample of the fingernails or a different sample altogether, I don't know. I couldn't tell you, sir.
The answer to my question is yes. You're at least acknowledging my physical DNA is underneath the fingernails.
No, sir.
Okay, great. So you're just going to disregard what all the other DNA witnesses said about this, correct?
Okay,
that's fair. That's fine. Totally fine.
Prosecutor Hamner then moved on to the topic of what was found at Robert's house.
When they went over to your house, they took a look underneath your couch. Publishing 224. That's your couch, right?
That is my couch.
And underneath your couch is a shoe and a chopped up shoe, right?
Right.
Okay. That's the gray Nike, correct?
Pure so, yes, sir.
Publishing 228. That's what it looks like, correct?
Yes, sir.
It's gray in color, correct?
Yes.
It is a Nike brand, correct?
Yes, sir.
It has a black swoosh, correct?
Yes, sir.
It has 4 horizontal or at least vertical bars in the middle of that shoe, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. You would agree with me. That's the shoe that the killer was wearing, correct?
I don't know that that's the case.
You don't know? Well, it sure looks a heck of a lot like it, right?
Yes, it could be the same model, but it could be a different size.
Sure. Let's just look at it.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree that it's the same model.
Right. It's the exact same type of shoe, right?
Right.
Okay. So we're not in dispute about that. We can agree on that, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
And your DNA is in those shoes that are found in your house, correct?
I don't know that to be the case.
Okay, but that's the whole thing of it's a setup and I think the DNA people are framing me. Something along those lines, right?
Whether it's them or someone else?
You've
sure.
heard the results. The results say that your DNA is in that shoe. We did hear that, correct?
That is what we heard.
Okay. And you just think it's just another part of the conspiracy to somehow get your DNA into those shoes.
So I believe that there are officers who, when they think that a fellow officer needs help plugging holes in the case, that they're willing to do what they have to.
Okay. All right. You characterize this case as a case that has holes?
I think that Detective Jaffe decided he wanted me for this, and everybody decided to assist him because they thought...
Jaffe's a part of it now, too.
Prosecutor Hamner pointed out that Robert was out of a job when the murder happened and was just a lame duck official, meaning there would be no reason for Compass Realty to hire someone to frame him for murder.
You're out of a job in that you're not an impediment as of January 1st. Isn't that right?
As of January 1st, but I was right then.
So you're trying to tell us that Compass Realty was so upset with you that they backed a candidate who wins, but then they just can't wait any longer, so they murder a reporter? They can't wait for 3 months?
I would recommend that the jury watch the video and, again, see the time at which the order was filed. And I think you might agree that, yes, that is absolutely the case, sir.
So the answer to my question is yes.
That
Compass Realty, even though they successfully backed a candidate that defeated you in a primary, they couldn't wait another 3 months for you to leave office, correct?
Because I've got the authority to really crack things open then.
So again, he's answering the question. These are fairly complex questions. They require complex answers.
Sure that each of you lets the other.
Sir, are you finished?
I am now, sir.
Okay. So then my next question is this. If they hated you so much.
I don't think they know me to hate me, but sure.
Well, they're willing to kill people over you, right?
I guess they would have hated me, yeah.
Right. And if they hated you so much, why didn't they just kill you?
That's a really good question. And I would like to answer it. My belief as to why they did.
Please tell me why they didn't just bother killing you.
Because if they'd killed me, would that have stopped Nevada State Division from investigating them? No. If they killed me, would anybody have felt the duty to continue my work because I was actually doing this? I think so. So murdering me would have not discredited me. It would not have put me in a position where all the work that I was doing just got left by the wayside. It would make no sense to kill me.
So your theory is that Jeff Garman is collateral damage?
When you've taken into account the fact that months earlier we had this public feud, it's a pretty convenient way to do this.
So the guy who writes the articles that ends your career, they reward him by killing him?
Well, again, like I said, it was a pretty good way to do this.
Prosecutor Hamner asked him about the text messages he had sent to Jeff after the story about the affair was published.
And you held him responsible because he was the one who chose to write the words, correct?
Again, at the time, I was upset.
So the answer to my question is yes. You held Mr. Garman responsible because he chose to write this article in this particular way.
If I had to hold anyone responsible in any sense, I guess the context that you're saying, certainly not enough to murder him.
That wasn't my question.
Okay, I guess I'm trying to get a sense of what the wordplay is here.
It's not wordplay. You held him responsible. He chose to write it that particular way, right?
On that day, I felt that, again, he had totally misconstrued things. So I was upset with him, and I told him I was upset with him.
Fair to say, in your opinion, if Jeff Garriman hadn't written these articles, you probably end up winning that primary?
Probably, yes.
It had to be crushing, correct?
No, it was disappointing, but again, I knew that my chances were 50-50, so I was prepared for a loss. And I think my conciliation post on Facebook was pretty clear that, hey, you know what? We tried really hard. We gave it our go. But, you know, I'm going to go serve families as a probate attorney again. I'm ready to go back to work. And, you know, and I got a lot of support when I made that post.
In their closing arguments, prosecutors had the jury watch the last moments of Jeff Garriman's life caught on video surveillance.
So this part of the video takes about 2 minutes. The entire time of that 2 minutes, Mr. Tellis is attacking Mr. Garriman with a weapon. So that demonstrates an intent to kill. He's stabbing him repeatedly. Mr. Garriman is clearly trying to fight back, but Mr. Tellis doesn't stop. It keeps going and going and going. And it's kind of a long time to be inflicting injuries on another individual.
She told the jury they also know Robert is guilty because of the DNA evidence.
Remember how this comes into play. They collect the samples from the scene, and the Metro DNA analyst has this result of foreign DNA being present on September the 5th. They haven't even collected a DNA sample from Mr. Tellis until the 7th. So it's not like Metro or Compass Realty has a sample of Mr. Tellis's DNA to come insert in this crime scene. It's Mr. Tellis's DNA in this scene. It's literally on the body of Mr. Garriman. The items from the search warrant also tell you that Mr. Tellis is the person responsible for this crime. Those shoes that were found in the house, they weren't planted, they were hidden. They were cut up. Anyone who planted the shoes would have no reason to cut them up. The cutting up is to benefit Mr. Tellis so he can get rid of them. If you were just planting them, you could leave them alone. And they're clearly his shoes because, one, they're in his house. Two, his DNA is present on them. And if you don't believe that, there's pictures in his phone of those shoes on a day when he apparently went rock climbing.
In his closing arguments, Robert's attorney, Robert Draskevich, argued that Jeff Garriman's blood or DNA was not found in Robert's home or in his vehicle, and law enforcement never recovered the murder weapon. He said after Robert became a suspect, his body was photographed. Robert didn't show any sign of having been in a physical altercation, which was important, he said, because Jeff fought with the killer for 2 minutes.
You can ask yourselves, well, if there was this struggle, where are the markings? Where's the bruising? Where are the scratches?
And the photos of Jeff's home found on Robert's work computer? He said it was unknown who pulled the images up and when they did it.
It was fairly clear through the course of the testimony that work computer had access to the Google account that would presumably be accessed by his Pixel phone. If one has password to that, one can have access to the devices.
He also had an explanation for the DNA evidence under Jeff's fingernails.
There is a positive DNA hit for Mr. Tellis related to Jeff Garriman's fingernails. And you recall at the beginning of the state's presentation last week, you heard from the crime scene analysts, and I would submit to you that it was fairly clear that there was a little less than an airtight investigation because, after all, police officers, detectives, crime scene analysts make mistakes. Reference to the lab techs, Ms. Brown and Ms. Koljenovich, they were trainees at the time that they did this DNA collection and the processing for presumptive negative or presumptive positive blood evidence. This is significant. it was Claire Manning. She had testified, she was young, blonde. She had testified that she couldn't recall who bagged the hands. That was at the scene of the murder. You never heard testimony as to who initially bagged the hands of Jeff German's body. One would think, and common sense would dictate, that they'd be able to tell you that. They couldn't, not from a single witness.
The jury deliberations lasted for 12 hours. They found Robert Tellez guilty. On October 16, 2024, the judge sentenced Robert to life in prison. He'll be eligible for parole in 26 years. The newspaper where Jeff German had been a reporter for 4 decades said this in a statement. There's relief in the Las Vegas Review-Journal's offices because Robert Tellez finally is headed to prison, hopefully for the rest of his life. His steadfast refusal to accept responsibility or show a hint of remorse for the barbaric murder of Jeff German should ensure he is never paroled. We'll never forget Jeff. His killing remains an immeasurable loss for his family, friends, colleagues, and community, and for journalism itself. And that's all for this episode. This episode was researched and written by Gabrielle Russon. As always, I'd love to know what you think about this case. Let us know by joining the conversation on Instagram at CourtJunkie, or you can email us at podcast@courtjunkie.com. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.
Hi, I'm Stassi Schroeder. On my podcast, I share candid updates from my personal life, chat with some of my best friends about what's going on in our lives, give commentary on the latest pop culture headlines, and sometimes deep dive into random topics I'm obsessed with, like human design. It's a bit all over the place, but that's how I like it. And you will too. Listen to my podcast, Stassi, wherever you get your podcasts.